All right, so guys, the sea change is definitely real among the Republican base. Some polls are starting to back this up. Trump is still leading, but man, DeSantis is nipping at his heels, and it is just being slowly but surely chipped away. So, this is in Mediaite. Fox News posts stunning 3-minute montage of Trump voters ready to ditch him for DeSantis. Quote, he's too polarizing. So I think this is in Maricopa County, Arizona. Now, Trump did a rally there recently. I don't know. It's not exactly clear. I don't know if they just went around random places in Maricopa County, Arizona and talked to Trump voters, or if this was literally like right outside a Trump rally. Now, if that's the case, holy cow, is this damning. This is something else. Let me see. Maybe the article will say it. Ahead of the rally, former President Donald Trump was scheduled to have in Arizona, later postponed due to the death of Ivana Trump. The Fox News website posted a stunning 3-minute video featuring a host of Trump supporters in Maricopa County talking about ditching him. So these are all Trump supporters, or were Trump supporters. The incredible montage features a group of Arizona voters who, save for one identified as Beverly, who enthusiastically backed Trump in 2024, but all said they wanted to see Trump sit it out the next time, and identified DeSantis as the person they said want to take over the party. Okay, so yeah, I don't know if this is just randomly in Maricopa County, Arizona among Trump supporters, or if this was like right outside what was going to be his rally. Either way, it's kind of crazy, but it would be even crazier if these were literally the people who were going to go to the rally. So let's go ahead and watch.
Yes.
I don't want him to. I like what he stands for. I like what he does, but he upset too many people, and he upset them really bad. So I don't think he's good for the party.
He needs to get back in. He already had gained that respect from all the world leaders and finish what he, started.
It's too bad that he did what he did do and was fought the whole way along on darn near everything that he did. But that's what happened, so I'd like to see him not run.
By the way, I want everybody to take note of the lack of specifics in terms of policy. So a lot of these guys are like, I like what he did. Really? What did you like? Give me the specifics. Which policies did you support that he did? Total lack of specifics, and obviously you guys know why, because if you look at his agenda and the things he actually got implemented and fought for, virtually every single one of them is very low. Polls very low. Anyway, let's continue.
If he did, I would vote for him, but I would not recommend he runs. I voted for Trump both times, and I love him. I think he was a good candidate, but I think his time has passed.
I couldn't care less about President Trump personally. I'd prefer somebody different, but if he is the nominee, I'll probably vote for him.
You know what? I voted for him for my very first time I voted for him. I don't think it'll be best for our country for him to run for re-election. I'm thankful for everything that he's done, but I think that
What things are you thankful for? Give me specifics, dog. Give me specifics. They can't, because they don't have any.
Republican Party needs to be united.
At this point, he's a little too polarizing, and I think that there are candidates out there, Republican candidates, obviously, that maybe be able to pull in people that he would lose to be able to change this.
I would like to see, Governor DeSantis or someone like that, some new blood in the race.
DeSantis run for president, and if he wants to, then he can pick up Donald as the vice president.
We're from Florida.
Anybody think Trump would be cool with that? Yeah, I love being vice president. I could be the second in command. He would never agree to that. Ever. But guys, these are all Trump supporters. And look at what they're saying. All but one of them is saying the same thing.
We're big fans of DeSantis on this one. He seems to be much more common sense and able to communicate better to both sides to get those people back the switch.
He's done a good job at everything he's tried to do, despite all, it's not all just what he says. It doesn't just happen like that. I believe he's done a good job with a lot of things, and that's just my personal beliefs.
Like what? These people never give specifics because they can't. That guy has no idea what Ron DeSantis has done. None.
I really like DeSantis. Because I think he can unify the party, and I think he's a fighter and a leader, and we need both.
He's like a no-nonsense kind of guy, kind of like Trump is. And I really appreciate that. I don't need a politician to get up there and smile and tell me a couple lies. I'd like someone that speaks the truth, and I really feel like DeSantis would be a good option.
It's just like, so for a lot of these voters, it's just the feeling of truthiness that they like. You know, it's the fact that Trump is like angry and kind of an asshole, and they view that as honesty, authenticity, and truth-telling. Even if he's objectively, provably, verifiably incorrect about 90% of the stuff he says. They're like, well, it feels sincere and authentic, so therefore, he's a truth-teller. And they're doing the same thing with DeSantis here. It's like, oh, DeSantis sometimes yells at reporters. Therefore, he's a truth-teller. It's such a shallow, vapid way of viewing politics, and it makes me sad, it does, because I wish people actually looked into the policies, supported certain things that would help people, and then judged politicians in accordance with that, and clearly they don't do that. They have no idea. They don't know the first thing Ron DeSantis has done.
100% DeSantis. There's no question about it.
Well, I'm a DeSantis fan as well. Donald Trump had a great run. I thought he was a great president while he was president. After the fact, I think we've seen a lot of divisiveness that's come from things, and I wouldn't vote for him in a primary, but the policy that he was able to do, I would probably vote for him in an election, but not a primary.
The only way that makes sense is if this dude is like a top 1%er or some CEO, because Trump's primary policy achievement is a tax cut for the wealthy, where over the long term, 83% of the benefits go to the top 1%. And by the way, that bill also incentivizes outsourcing jobs. So, I like the policy. Well, okay, if you make $1 million a year, then I understand you saying that. If you don't, I don't understand you saying that at all. So I don't, these guys. Anyway, see if there's anything left. Nope. Okay. Look, I don't think Fox News went into this looking for pro-DeSantis voters. They went into this, let me interview pro-Trump people in Maricopa County, Arizona, and this is the result that they got. And so it's a real shift, man. And I do think what the January 6th committee has done is it's so relentless in how aggressively they've gone after Trump and sort of portrayed how unhinged he is and that dictatorial instinct he has. And what you do is, when Trump ran in 2016, he got 9% of Democrats to vote for him. There's not a single Democrat in the country left that would vote for Donald Trump. Not a single one. And then you have the moderates and the independents, where in 2016, Trump got a bunch of them. And now, after all this stuff is coming out, they're gonzo. And then now you even have some significant percentage of Republicans who are like, no, I can't. Now, I don't want to overstate it, because the fact of the matter is Trump can still get a plurality of the Republican base, and he's still leading. He's still ahead. He has more support than anybody else in the party right now. But as time goes by, you're seeing a definite shift. And DeSantis is nipping at his heels. And I think a lot of voters, Republican voters, view DeSantis as a less unhinged version of Trump. And I don't know, man. It's an interesting question. And this is a debate we had on Crystal, Kyle, and Friends recently. It was myself, Crystal, Zach, and Gavin of the Vanguard. And we went back and forth on this a little bit. Who's more dangerous? Who's worse? Trump or DeSantis? And, my contention was, I honestly think on policy, they're exactly the same. I think they're identical on policy. They're the same guy on policy. But then, you judge by more intangible stuff or character traits or whatever. And on that front, Donald Trump tries like the Bush League attempt, the amateur hour attempt at overthrowing an election, as witnessed by January 6th, etc. And I think DeSantis, I don't put it past him to do a similar thing, but I think it would be more 2000 George W. Bush attempt style of overthrowing an election, where it's more highbrow, there's a veneer of respectability and seriousness over it. And, both those things are bad, wrong, and terrible. But I do think ultimately what it comes down to is there's a next election with a DeSantis type in the same way there was a next election with the George W. Bush type of stealing an election. There is another brighter day in the future where you can continue to have at least the illusion of a democracy. Whereas with Trump, I mean, he blows up any sort of illusion of that at all. And if he could press a button and say, make me emperor permanently, he would press it in a heartbeat. And so I do think there are differences. I do. On policy, they're identical, but you either get like the highbrow veneer of the country being held together, or you get there is no illusion at all, and it all, is busted up. We're a broken, fractured, factionalized country, if you can call it that. So, I don't know. I'll leave that up to you guys. I do think it's an interesting and substantive debate, and I have seen good points on both sides of that. But who is worse, Trump or DeSantis, and why? In terms of, I'm not sure I buy the argument of like, well, DeSantis in terms of policy would be more competent than Trump. I'm not sure I buy that, because I think Trump was actually very competent in getting what he wanted passed. Because I think his raw aggression made the Republican base fall in line. And so he was able to sort of strong-arm through a lot of the things that he wanted to do, as evidenced by, the tax cuts for the rich that we just talked about. And anything he could do, he signed a whole bunch of executive orders. He destroyed the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. So the idea that, like, because Trump is unhinged and kind of crazy, that he was ineffective in terms of getting his policy through, I don't buy that. I think Trump was very effective in getting a lot of his policies through. And so DeSantis might be able to do that same stuff just in a different way, a more clever, highbrow way. But that's an open question. So again, I pose it to you guys, who's worse, Trump or DeSantis? But definitely what we're witnessing here is a steady and slow but sure sea change away from Trump and towards DeSantis. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.